thank you for joining us today to discuss revolutionary technologies and sustainability. We're going to unfold a bit one of the use cases that I found really, really interesting, which is a project that we're doing with a partner in South Africa called DMA. And what is happening in South Africa is that they are introducing a carbon tax, which is quite unique. They're one of the first countries to actually reinforce it that early, although it's been postponed a bit. But they're introducing a carbon tax, which means that whatever you emit that you don't reduce, you have to offset in terms of not paying taxes. And obviously a lot of companies would want to move into a space where it's a business model for them as well. So it's not just doing good for doing good. There's actually a carrot at the end of the stick of, if I do good, I can get tax reductions at the same time as I'm doing something for the planet. And you will see in a bit when I introduce Richard to tell us a bit more about the case, but what they're trying to do is that they're trying to capture carbon, which is being emitted when you want to produce fizzy drinks or beers or your sodas.
Something a lot of us can relate to.
A lot of you can relate to. So all of the little bubbles in a bubble, that is actually something that is being reintroduced. It's food grade carbon that is being reintroduced into the bubbles in order to reduce a company's carbon footprint. But how do you prove that? That's really one of the things. It's such an invisible thing that is happening. Like someone is capturing carbon or acid carbon from production, and you want to cleanse it and put it into production of brews.
Fizzy drinks.
Yeah. And no one can really prove what is happening in that chain unless you document it from your sensors, from the weight scales throughout the production, and you put it into something that is distributed and easily accessible for anyone. But that was a very long introduction, but I'm thinking Richard can tell us a bit more about it.
Let's hear it.
Not looking necessarily so much in terms of carbon credits, looking at carbon reduction and then looking for the tax efficiencies on the back of that. And I believe that is going to be a huge segment. The second thing is we've looked around industries to say where can we measure emissions. There is a global shortage of beverage grade or food grade CO2, and everyone likes their fizzy drinks at the moment, so it's been quite interesting. In order to create that, a lot of companies have to burn ethanol and then actually take and capture the CO2, then put that into everyone's fizzy drinks. So it's quite an interesting situation. We've been looking at some ways to measure some of the offtake of that, so the natural capture and then the scrubbing of that, and then the creation of beverage grade CO2. Just a bit of fun. It's an enormous industry, so a lot of data, a lot of different processes in the chain. How does one go from a fermentation tank all the way to a storage tank, and the process to create that beverage grade CO2 in that chain. Lots of data points, lots of different iterations, and a really, really nice project to put on the blockchain.
Yeah, so a really nice project to put on the blockchain. Maybe I can put some words more around why it's such a good thing. I think one of the main reasons is that one of the cases the case here that Richard was explaining, a lot of the things is being reused in their own production, which means that the owner of the data and the producer of it actually owns the entire data flow of it. I think one of the things that blockchain can really go in and help with, specifically for auditing purposes, is ensuring that none of that data has been manipulated. So the blockchain can store all of the information. It's transparent, it's immutable, and it's coming directly from the source, meaning that no one really had a chance to manipulate any of it. But what is also interesting is that it's going to be such a big industry that they're also now looking into how can you actually do this as a business model. So imagine if you're selling these fizzy bubbles that you want to reintroduce into your drink, you also want to be able to prove to the people that are buying it that it's actually from waste production rather than something that you're producing for the purpose of earning money on it in the end. So I think that traceability and that track, it's transferable to a lot of different industries. You can see it for like green steel in Europe as well, and some of the other industries that are opening up. But that complex production of having one single source of truth is really where I see some of the benefits.